Hello. I feel like it's time I made a video about different journals that you could watercolor in, whether it's a handmade journal or a commercially made journal. So a little bit of a disclaimer, I don't own every single journal that someone could use as a watercolor journal, but I do own quite a few of them. And for the most part, I think you guys know at this point from watching some of my videos, or maybe you're new here and you don't know this, but I really like to do my watercoloring in a journal that I make myself. So I'm going to talk about that at the end. This is my preference, but I want to just talk through some of the other options in case you come upon my videos, you're interested in doing watercoloring for relaxation, but you're not yet a bookmaker, or maybe you're never going to be a bookmaker. So absolutely, there are journals out there that are made for watercoloring. I think actually I'm realizing I should get a few more of them. Okay, I'm back with more journals. So if you're new to watercolor, you don't even know if you're going to fall in love with it, you're not ready to invest in learning how to make your own handmade books, then this is going to be a great video for you. So there are a ton of different journals, just pads and things that are on the market that you could use absolutely and fill with watercolor for relaxation exercises. So a few of the most inexpensive but really decent quality books that you could buy are the Canson XL books. These are, wow, might be under $10. And I mean, you could go to town. You absolutely could go to town in a book like this and fill it. That's the whole thing. It's like your sort of underlying goal is you want to fill the journal with these exercises, and that really gives you motivation to show up at your art table and to just paint for relaxation. So a Canson XL book is great. These are widely available and very inexpensive. The next type of book I want to talk about is something that was recommended to me by Megan Quinlan. You may be familiar with Megan Quinlan. You can find her on Instagram. You can find her on YouTube. She is a teacher at the Willow workshops, and she figured out miraculously that the store Five Below, I don't think it's outside the United States, so for basically people in the United States, that you could buy this pad of paper for $5, I think is what the cost is. It says HQ Fine Stroke Series Watercolor, 9 by 12 inches, 300 GSM, 36 sheets. So there's no way that this paper in here is cotton. It does say FSC, meaning it's a responsible paper. But for $5, I doubt you're getting cotton. You're probably getting wood. But amazingly, I just want to pick something out so I can show you how good this is. Like, this is not a watercolor for relaxation painting. This is a, Willa's watercolor leaves and florals painting thing. But oh my gosh, like, I cannot even begin to tell you how really outstanding this is for $5. Like, absolutely no shame in this. Go to Five Below if you're just starting out and you're not making your own books. You can graduate to making your own books later. Okay, so Five Below HQ Fine Stroke Watercolor Paper Pad. Amazing, amazing, just amazing. Okay, other books. Here is a book of Cotti paper. So I started painting in this little journal many, many years ago, and it's pretty awesome. Let's just flip through this. Am I doing this the wrong way? I don't know. Anyway, this is gouache. I really actually got really good results from this Cotti paper. I think I didn't remember how good I had it with this Cotti paper. So it's spelled Khadi. I will put a link to some Cotti paper resources in the description, but it ain't bad. I mean, it's not fine watercolor paper, but it's definitely good enough. And I believe they sell these in all different sizes. And I kind of stopped painting in it and moved on to something else, but I had good results. So absolutely a Cotti paper book is an option. Okay, now let's talk about like the best of the best, and then maybe I'll go back to some of the not best of the best. So this was my original watercolor journal. It was something that I got when I was in my early 20s, and I'm in my mid 50s now. And they stopped making these for a long time, but now I see that they are making them again. So I will put a link to this in the description, but this is an Arches watercolor book. And oh my lordy, this is literally paintings that I did in my early 20s. It's kind of like strangely embarrassing, but not as bad as I would have imagined. Oh, there's some really nasty stuff in here. Yeah, like this is me. Actually, it's not as bad. It's not as bad as I thought it was. Anyway, the beauty of this book is the Arches paper. The Arches paper is absolutely, hands down, without a doubt, the best watercolor paper in the world. And if you get a hold of one of these and you fill it with watercolor for relaxation, man, you are going to be so happy. So yeah, I've got more pages I could use in there as well. But an Arches book is literally like the end all be all. Okay, then I actually many years ago commissioned through Etsy a handmade bookmaker who made handmade books with Arches paper. So I mistakenly ordered a hot press book. This is so funny. But I ordered a hot press book by mistake. What I wanted was a cold pressed book. And so I ended up having to order a second book because there was no returning it. So now I have this cold pressed book. Why don't I paint in here? I really should paint in here. This is so pretty. I did this, gosh, like 5 or 6 years ago now, I think. I wonder if there's a date on any of this. So yeah, these are all great. Lot of wonderful painting in here. And this is all Arches paper. This book was handmade. Yeah, this is a favorite of mine. Painting on the back side as well, trying out different things from years and years and years ago. I know this style is still very popular. I should go back to it. This is kind of really fun. But yeah, I did this many moons ago. And yeah, so that's having someone else, another bookmaker, make you a journal that has the paper that you want in it, which is definitely a possibility. I don't do this for people because I don't have the time, but absolutely you could commission someone to make you a book with Arches paper or another fine paper, and that would be another way of getting a really good watercolor journal. Okay, then I've got my newest commercially made journal that I really like. You don't have to commission anyone. This is by the Etchr company. And this paper is great, and it has the decal. So I'll put the link also to this in the description, but Etchr is making 100% cotton watercolor paper sketchbooks. This is their most premium one, and absolutely this paper is great and would be a wonderful option to do hours and hours and hours of watercolor for relaxation painting in a book like this. It does have a beautiful, I don't know if this is leather or pleather. It's got a nice cover and it could go anywhere with you. And this is really nice. And the paper is really good. So that's the most important thing, is that the paper is pleasant to work on. Okay, then I have literally an endless number of what I would call really mediocre watercolor sketchbooks. They have these everywhere. They have them in bookstores. They have them in gift shops. They have them in art stores. Art stores are filled with mediocre watercolor sketchbooks. I don't even want to name any brands or anything like that, but the paper is okay. Not great. It's okay. This literally, this was painted so long ago. A Brussels sprout. This is so funny. Some of these are so funny. Yeah, bananas. Oh my gosh. This is when I was in quote unquote art school. I was not getting a degree, but I basically put myself through art school when I was young. And this is just stuff. I don't even want to, some of it's embarrassing. I don't even want to put it on YouTube now. Oh. Anyway, yeah, that's really bad. Okay, so this is some really early watercolors by Wendy. I don't know the brand of this. I guess it's okay paper. It's just not the greatest. Again, I don't even know the brand of that. This one I think I could find the brand of. I like the book itself. Like, I like the cover. And I think I got, all right, let's just look through this. I got some decent results. I don't think I would use this as a watercolor for relaxation book, like, but you know what? Now looking at it, it's not that bad. Maybe it would be okay. All right, you know what? I might give you the name of this. You know what? That's gorgeous. Maybe this would work. The paper is a little on the thin side, but actually, now that I'm looking at it, the results are absolutely fine. They're absolutely fine. Oh, stopped in the middle. Very classic ADHD. Literally did not finish that. So, okay, this book is, oh, that's a favorite of mine. I should do this exercise with you guys. Oh, so good. This is kind of funny because there's something similar that Karen Elaine does that I didn't know Karen Elaine when I did these, but she does a very, very similar thing that's in her Watercolor for Joy class on Willow Workshops. She has a bonus lesson. I forgot how much I love working in this style. Okay, anyway, we want to just talk about the books. This is turning into like this walk down memory lane. Okay, so I can't even read this. It says Handbook. The brand is called Handbook. So, oh yeah, there it is. Handbook, Global Art Materials, Kansas City, Missouri, Travelog Handbook. So, okay, not bad. Better than not painting at all. Okay, not bad. And the cover is really pretty. All right. Again, I could show you probably 25 other watercolor books in that category. Let me actually get another one. Okay, here, I'm getting even more. What is this one? Who made this book? Can we even find a brand name? Oh, 1584. Okay, so this is made by a brand called 1584. I was always on this like mission. My daughter did this when she was like in grade school. Yeah, she did this too, I think. Yeah, MS. I was always on this mission to find the perfect watercolor sketchbook. And then if I found out that I didn't like it for watercolor, I would maybe use it for mixed media. So yeah, I did not love this one for watercolor, but I haven't tried it lately. These are fun. I call this my what if journal. Anyway, some of these are fabulous. These are watercolor and mixed media pieces. Oh, stop before you're finished. Gotta always remember that. Okay, anyway, again, this is like the same kind of not heavyweight paper. Yes, it's a watercolor paper, but it's not fine watercolor paper. All right, so that's made by the company 1584. And then here's another brand, Stillman and Burn. Now, yeah, I don't even think I tried using this for watercolor. I think I was just using this for mixed media. So this is probably not a watercolor book. Some really fun stuff in here, though. Yeah, these are fun exercises from my course called Mixed Media Color Play. Gosh, I love that. All right, so anyway, this was not a watercolor book, but I do know that the brand Stillman and Burn does make watercolor sketchbooks. Maybe this is a, yeah, this, okay, here we go. Here we go. Okay, so this is Stillman and Burn. And, you know, a lot of things will work for florals that maybe you just have to try and see if they work for watercolor for relaxation. Not sure I would recommend a Stillman and Burn sketchbook as a watercolor for relaxation book. Yeah, I wouldn't. I would stay away from this brand. I just don't think the paper is good enough. But they do make, you know, for art journaling, Stillman and Burn is fabulous. Okay, so now I want to talk about what I landed on and sort of the history of how this came about. So I have been making these books that I call Willa Journals. People hate me for calling them Willa Journals, but I'm not trying to diss anyone by calling these things Willa Journals. They are junk journals, okay? They are junk journals, and I fell in love with making these junk journals many, many years ago. Here, I'll show you what a typical one looks like. I fell in love with making these, and I was selling them, and I was having a lot of fun making them and selling them. And then I launched this course called the Willa Journals course so that I could teach other people how to make these journals. And not just how to make the journals, but how I think through the making of these journals. It's a lot more than just, okay, this is like a class on how to make a handmade book. I go through all of the sort of art direction process of how do you collect your materials, how do you choose your materials, how do you assemble your materials to make these soft covers that I love so much. And once I started making these books myself, I kind of lost interest in working in commercial journals, mainly because there's just something incredibly yummy about these books, and I don't have to make that many a year to have enough books to watercolor in. Probably, like, honestly, if I make 1 to 2 new books per year, it's enough for myself. I don't have time at this point to make them for other people. But there is just something so yummy about making your own books. So it started with me making junk journals. And junk journals are full of junk. They are full of just random papers, old artwork that's cut up. This is old watercolor painting on Arches paper that got cut up and put into a journal. This is tea stained paper. Here's another old watercolor painting that got cut up and added. There's wallpaper in here, vintage ledger paper, just more cut up paintings, under paper that's cut up. You know, you basically use these books to either collage in or to do art journaling in, and they're wonderful. Junk journals are absolutely magical. I love, love, love making junk journals and using junk journals. It's a combination of your old art cut up and collage fodder made and cut up, and then also fresh pieces of paper so that you can add more art like this. Like, here's an opportunity to add your art journaling here. So anyway, so I started making these journals. I created a whole big course on it called Willa Journals, and that was it. I was just making these junk journals. And then one day, I don't even really remember how this came about, but one day I was like, you know what? What if I took the structure of a Willa journal? Here's another junky one. But I was like, what if I took this structure, the cover structure, the cover design, what if I took that and I just filled it with watercolor paper? And I found a watercolor paper that I wanted to sew into the book. So if you want to see more videos about me just like flipping through Willa journals, there are a lot of them on YouTube already. So I'm gonna stop looking at one of my Willa journals. It's very fun to look at it, so it's like I don't want to stop, but okay. I'm really here to talk about the watercolor journal thing. So okay, so I thought, what if I fill the cover of a Willa journal with watercolor paper? And that's what I did in this book. And I ended up absolutely loving working in this journal, and I never stopped. It was just, there was something magical about it that kept me coming back. I also add a lot of quotes and writing into it when I feel like it, but mostly it's watercolor journaling essentially. And I never looked back after I started making these, and I started posting pictures of the art on Instagram, and everybody went wild for the decal edge and the art that was on the pages. I just never looked back. And basically, since making this journal, I have constructed 2 more Willa journals for myself, and they are a variety of papers, so they're not all the same exact paper. So I'm going to show you there's a difference. Now, please don't ask me what paper this is. If you're interested in learning about the paper, then I recommend taking the course Watercolor for Relaxation, because that's the answer to the question of what paper do I use is more complicated than just, oh, here's a link, go buy this paper. I would never do that to you, because it would be unfair. And also, it's just a big part of what we talk about in the class. So please, if you're interested, just take that class. And okay, so back to the journals. So this journal, which was made probably around the exact same time that this journal was made, I have only done watercolor paintings in this journal. But this other journal that also is a Watercolor for Relaxation journal, also a Willa journal filled with watercolor paper. This journal, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do more in this journal than just watercolor, because I'm more than a watercolor artist. I'm also an art journaler, a typical traditional art journaler. So I actually also use this book to do lessons from another course on Willow Workshops called Love Your Imperfect Art Journal with Sarah Gardner. And this is probably some of the best art journaling I have ever done. This is an unfinished spread, but Sarah really showed me the way to do this type of art journaling, which again, I would call this a more traditional kind of art journaling. And I needed a journal to do it in, and I thought, why not do it in the Willa journal that I was using for watercolor, but I just do it in a different part of the journal. So there's a Rorschach test happening back here as paint seeps through. But anyway, okay, so that is the story of how I came to do the watercolor for relaxation painting only in Willa journals. It did not start out that way. I was using commercial journals for years. And then just, again, happenstance, one day I said, why not combine the junk journals that I make with the Willa journal structure and see what happens? And that is truly when magic happened. And I have been loving it ever since. And I have no intentions of stopping or slowing down with this, knock on wood. I really enjoy the nervous system relaxation, the experience of working in something like this. It's unparalleled. It cannot be met by a commercial journal. So that was a lot, but I recommend starting commercial if you're brand new, but then working your way up to making your own books. And they don't have to be Willa journals. You could use any handmade book structure, any knowledge that you have about making handmade books. And if you fill it with a paper that you want to work with, you're going to have your own handmade watercolor journals to work in. And the only horizon that I know of that I have yet to explore with this is to actually make a Willa journal and fill it with Arches watercolor paper. So I think it's not going to happen anytime soon because I still have so much room in these journals. But at some point, I probably will make my own book and fill it with arches and see how that goes. See if I like it better, like it the same, whatever. But for now, I'm so happy with just working this way that I'm not going to take out the time to make another book that will just be unnecessary considering how many books I have yet to fill. So I hope this helped sort of clear up the mystery of what journal to work in for you. Like, you've got to figure this out for you if you're interested. All right, have a wonderful day. Bye.